On Monday, the Manipur police carried out search operations in the state. They found a lot of weapons, which is not surprising. But here's what is. Here's what stands out in the items that they found. A Starlink terminal. Starlink is a satellite internet provider. It is owned by Elon Musk. It is not legal in India. It does not have permission to operate here in India. So how were militants using a Starlink device in the Indian state of Manipur? And why has this become a pattern? How does Starlink appear in remote villages and conflict zones? Who regulates it? Can technology cross borders without permission? And is this too much unchecked power for one man, Elon Musk? We ask because in the wrong hands, even a tool for connection can become a tool for chaos. Our next report has more.
In November this year, the Indian Coast Guard apprehended a fishing boat from Myanmar. On board were over 5,000 kilograms of methamphetamine. It was the biggest such drug bust by the Indian Coast Guard, estimated to be worth over $4.25 billion. But what made news was how the drug smugglers got there. They were reportedly using a Starlink device. It was to navigate Indian waters and reach the shore. This raised concerns because Starlink cannot operate in India. It doesn't have the permission. Neither can it provide coverage in India's waters. And this wasn't the only incident. The Manipur police yesterday carried out search operations in the state. They recovered over 29 weapons from militants. But along with that, there was also a Starlink device. The authorities recovered a satellite internet antenna and a router. There's Starlink written on it. This is the first instance of Starlink being discovered in this region, and it raises some critical questions. Starlink isn't legal in India. So, what is this device doing here? Especially in Manipur, which has been battling ethnic violence for over a year now. To answer that, let's look at Starlink first. It's a satellite internet constellation, basically a system of over thousands of satellites. The company is a subsidiary of Elon Musk's SpaceX. SpaceX began launching Starlink satellites in 2019. Right now, there are nearly 6,000 of them. How is Starlink different from normal satellites? Starlink satellites are low orbit. Most satellites are located around 1,000 kilometers from the Earth. Starlink satellites are much closer. That means it can provide faster internet service. It also means Starlink can provide internet to the most remote areas, whether it's the middle of a desert or on top of a mountain. Starlink's ability to operate independently of traditional infrastructure makes it very attractive, especially for countries mired in conflict. During Russia's invasion of Ukraine, internet services shut down. Elon Musk immediately made Starlink available. About 15,000 Starlink routers were shipped to Ukraine. It kept services running. It helped Kyiv in the battlefield. In the Sudan war, Starlink was a lifeline for civilians and humanitarian groups, especially amidst the widespread communications blackout. But the use of Starlink in active war zones has sparked intense debate. Some people argue that it breaches national sovereignty because it bypasses local telecom regulations. Others warn of its dual life potential. It also blurs the line between a private company and an active player in a conflict, which makes Starlink a target as well. Russia says it has now developed a Kalinka system, one that can detect and disrupt Starlink signals. In some cases, Starlink itself has drawn boundaries, like in the case of Sudan. On 30th April of this year, SpaceX said it would stop operating in Sudan. That left millions in the war-torn nation without internet. The company says it's only allowed to operate in authorized countries. It's also a lot of unchecked power for just one man, Elon Musk. He dictates where Starlink can or cannot operate. In 2022, Ukraine was planning a maritime drone attack. The attack would have been carried out using Starlink. Musk reportedly knew about this, and he asked his engineers to turn off the coverage. The SpaceX CEO believed it could lead to a major escalation. That's a lot of leverage for just one company. And it could only increase over time given Musk's close proximity to Donald Trump right now. So, in a connected world, where does accountability begin and who draws the line? On one hand, it's a tool that connects the unconnected. On the other, it can be a weapon in the wrong hands. As the world embraces new technologies like Starlink, the need for global regulations becomes imperative. Because without checks and balances, even the stars can fall out of line.